A couple undefeated prospects going against each other. We got Brett the Pikey Johns taking on Kwan Kwak. Brett the Pikey Johns -2 under favorite. Comeback on Kwak +170. I would be lying if I told you I knew a whole bunch about Kwan Kwak. I know that his last fight, 5-round unanimous decision victory over your boy, Altepkin Oskalic.
Kicked his ass.
So you look at that and you go, that's pretty damn good. 5 rounds means he's got a gas tank. He can go the distance. He fights with that Korean top team. Lots of good guys coming out of that team.
Guys.
And Brett Johns, Titan FC, bantamweight champion, had to give up his title after missing weight for his last fight.
Against Ricky Simon. Yeah.
So this is an interesting one, to be perfectly honest. I'm not entirely sure who to really favor here. I got to watch a little bit more tape. I'm not going to lie on Kwan Kwak before I make a decision here, but I'm definitely interested. It's good to see some new blood coming into the organization, some undefeated blood, and guys that have been champions in other organizations. So we'll see how this one plays out. As I said, there could be something here with Kwan Kwak, but I have to look a little bit more tape.
Yeah, Kwan Kwak will eventually be something, especially if you're looking for stars that you can break out in that Asian market. I think this guy's very skilled. He's young. He's supremely athletic. I mean, you look at this guy's movement. He's fast in and out of the pocket. And just like where he lacks in technique, he'll rely on that athleticism, and it'll bail him out. When I'm looking at that fight against Alpost Kilic, Alp's my guy. Now, Alp's at 125 here. Now, keep in mind, Alp moves up to 135 to take this fight. But nonetheless, he goes 5 hard rounds with Alp. He gets taken down. And when he gets taken down, he's not really throwing up anything off his back, but he's not taking any damage. Fight eventually gets up. And the thing is, Alp's a former Turkish wrestling champion. If the guy wants you down, presumably he's going to get you down. And he can't really get anywhere near this guy because he's so fast and athletic. His hips, he'll shoot his hips away from you. He'll use his forearms to just push off of you, hurt you with the body kick, hurt you with straight punches. He's 9-0. The guy seems like he's going to be good. Now, when I say you can build this guy and he's going to be a star for you in your Asian marketplaces, they should have put him in. I know the Philippines card got it canceled, but he should have been serving in a role like that. He should have been serving in a role where go over to these other markets, build your way up. We've seen them try to grow guys like Hoiston Wee for reasons I'll never understand because the guy doesn't have any actual fighting abilities.
Because he was from Singapore.
Yeah, but it's like, we're going to Singapore and we might as well sign this guy. It's like, no, don't do Yoji Kui. It's like, why did you sign Yoji Kui? Yeah. This guy's got actual credentials. He trains out of, as you mentioned, Korean top team. I think he's got 4 partners that are in the UFC. 4 of his training partners are in the UFC. So when you consider
2 Dun Young Kims.
2 Dun Young Kims. So when you consider that like a small little gym like that with no giant name recognition, to have that many fighters in the premier organization in the world, they are a good team. They have good coaching staff. And you see the guys that come out of his gym, and they are very well-rounded. I think sky's the limit for this guy. Unfortunately, is that they literally gave him like the worst matchup they could. Because Brett the Pikey Johns, who, as much as I like Kwan Kwak, we're going to bring it back to them Cage Warriors guy. This Brett the Pikey Johns is my guy, man. Been watching this guy since he was 20 years old, man. Been watching this guy since it was a do-or-die fight against James Brum. James Brum had spent his whole camp at Alpha Male. James Brum was like, I took all of my family's savings account. I told my wife, I'm going to Alpha Male. I'm going to beat this Brett the Pikey Johns. I'm going to live my dreams. You know who stole his dreams that night? Brett Johns. When this guy got signed by Titan, I was over the moon. They gave him Wallell Watson. I was like, buddy, easy money. He got the easy money. His next fight was a split decision win. It was not easy money. But still, nonetheless, this guy can go 5 rounds. He's young. He's only 24 years old. He's been doing judo since he was a little kid. He's the truth in some senses. Now, the biggest thing about him is that his wrestling is not great. But what happens is that he can get in on your hips real quick. Once he gets in on your hips, he doesn't have that like inside trip, outside trip. He doesn't know to move the hips. He doesn't know any of that. But what he does is he just drives. He drives through on guys. And more times out of not, he gets his takedown. Now, with Kwan was looking good against Alp stuff and some takedowns, sure. But when he did get taken down, that was his primary issue, is that when I'm on my back, I ain't got shit. And I look at Brett Johns, I think to myself, the guy notoriously gets the takedowns when he wants the takedowns. This is a spot he likely gets the takedown. I would be worried a little bit about him missing weight his last time out, but he's out for over a year. He's retooled. He's figured it out. And
if he comes in, makes weight, then you kind of look at him and be like, well, maybe he just wasn't taking it all that seriously before, but now he's in the big show.
And he's from Wales, I believe.
Yeah, he's Welsh.
This is going to be a hometown fight for him, essentially, right? I know I said
it's all United Kingdom. It's all in the same region. Scotland, Ireland, Southern Ireland.
Yeah, because I
Northern
screwed up.
Ireland.
I think I said Jack Marshman's from Scotland. He's from Wales too. So technically,
Okay.
technically speaking,
Wales is like the southwestern corner of England.
yeah. So Brett Johns will actually be the first ever Welsh fighter to fight in the UFC, and then Jack Marshman will be the second ever Welsh fighter to fight in the UFC. But as I mentioned, this is essentially in some regards a home fight for him. He's going to have some fans. He's going to have his hometown guys. He's going to be able to make the weight a lot easier because he's not traveling some giant distance. With Kwan can make 135 fairly comfortably, but you got to factor in that he was fighting a much smaller guy last time out. So I think when you stuff a good wrestler and you stuff some takedowns, you build that confidence. You're like, you know what? This guy's a Turkish wrestling champion. And Turkey, by the way, amazing wrestling. I can stuff takedowns. Brett Johns, not on the same level. However, he does have the size. And there's no doubt that Alp's been burnt out since he got cut from the UFC. Hell, when he got signed with the UFC, he looked burnt out to begin with. So you're not getting the same level. You're getting a kid who's 24 who really wants it, not 33-year-old Alp who's, flirting with the idea of being a pro athlete still. This is a very dangerous fight. The one thing, and this is actually a similar thing that we've been talking about here, is that I don't like the line, man. I really don't.
Yeah, minus 200 seems hot. That's why I'm kind of like...
that's a big line, dude.
I'm interested. I wanted to...
Kwan for dog money's not the worst play in the world,
plus
to be
170
honest.
sounds okay. It's like he's not a bum.
No,
I like this seems like a great, real, great fight. And we'll find out who...
Prospect versus prospect.
who could be something in this bantamweight division, which has a bunch of young blood, but they don't have that next generation. We had the Cody Garbrandts, we had the Thomas Almeidas. They ended up fighting against each other, and there's still really prospects in this weight class. But there hasn't been any. And there's Aljamain Sterling. There's a bunch of young guys in this division, but maybe these guys will be the next batch to get themselves into that mix.
Could be. No, I was telling you earlier, funny story about Kevin Lee. Okay, so my guy, Ryan Donnelly, fights at 135 pounds. He fought Tony Laramie. Tony Laramie is the younger brother of the great TJ Laramie. Both those guys are going to the UFC. Both those guys will be contenders unless they get injured or life gets in the way. I mean, they're so young still. Tony Laramie is 17 years old. Tony Laramie is 5-0 as an amateur. He's finished all 5 of those fighters. I believe 4 of them in the first minute. My buddy went 1 minute and 3 seconds. Moral victory for him in that spot. Tony Laramie just signed a pro contract. He's going to turn pro at the age of 17. His first pro fight, Keith Lee, Kevin Lee's little brother.
Wow.
4-0 as an amateur. That fight's on TKO up in January. I saw that. I was thinking, why would these kids fight right now? But this is literally...
That is the definition of Cody's jam.
That's my shit, bro. Yeah, buddy. I saw that and I was like...
2 high-end prospects before they ever get to like the big promotions.
Yeah, because eventually you'll be
well,
able to...
as Cody, for people who are relatively new, Cody is a matchmaker for Ace Fighting Championship, and you've been a matchmaker for Substance Cage Combat in the past. So like that's your dream, is finding 2 high-end prospects with brothers that are doing big things as well and pitting them against each other on the undercard of your type of cards.
Yeah, well, ultimately you want to build these guys to like, ooh, maybe one of them's 4-0 and the other one's 4-0.
Yeah.
But in terms of TKO, if these kids are both 4-0, they're getting signed.
I think we're
somewhere
learning
else.
in this day and age, though. It's like
Make the best fight
being
possible.
7-0, 8-0. It's impressive, but you don't have to be. Like a lot of the matchmakers are a lot wiser to the fact that we're not getting Deshaun Johnsons in the mix nearly as often. They're looking for guys that are taking those tough fights. You have to take tough fights to get into the UFC. It used to be if you just ran up a 7-0 record, you'd get a shot.
Yeah, but let's say, for example, I'm managing you, right? And you're on your way to go to the UFC. It's like, oh, this is going to be great. Paul's got a ton of, good skills and he's marketable. Okay, we're going to take a fight with A-Rap because,
I'd win that fight.
And he's crap. And you're going to get paid $500, but you're okay with it because it's an easy win for $500. Yeah. Now you're going to fight Pat Mayo. Buddy. 1-punch knockout, right?
Unless he eye gouges me, which
he has in the
true
past.
Story.
Which is still a win for you. He got DQ'd. Everybody knows what happened there.